In a week, I'm going to be a high school senior, which I'm graduating high school senior, which I'm really excited about. I'm the first one to graduate from college. I'm the first one to graduate from high school and go to college, which is really exciting. Um, some of my hobbies include like photography. I like doing folk dancing, and then I also like to bake a lot. Especially now during quarantine is something that I've picked up, especially that I don't know how to cook, which I'm also learning to do now, which is really, a really good idea, especially since I'm leaving to college far away from my home. Um, I started with Girl Up, I think when I was a sophomore in high school. Because one of my really closest friends, she was in my 7th period, and she talked about me about like the amazing work she's done with them. I think she got to go to like an engineering program in Peru, which was like
Wow.
really interesting to hear. Yeah, and so they do fundraisers at my school and stuff like that to help advocate for girls who aren't necessarily being spoken for. Like for example, I know there's a lot of girls who don't have access to education, and I didn't learn about that until I was in that club, which was something that I'm grateful that I know now, because it helps me appreciate everything that I have and like things that I have access to that I know other people don't necessarily have.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's encouraged me to kind of apply and step out of my comfort zone to the YSI Namibia trip they had, which was really, really fun. We got to work with NASA, Google, Intel, and we learned how to code. It was just like really fun, small activities. Yeah, and we also learned a lot about their culture. And I made a group of good friends that I still talk to today. And I'm very grateful for that experience because I think it helped me be little bit less shy and be more out there and willing to really advocate for myself and others. And that also kind of led to my interest in photography. Like owning a camera wasn't really something that I could really ask for, like financially, because they are kind of expensive. And I think when I turned 17, which was last year, my grandparents gave me a camera before I went to Mexico, just because they hadn't seen their home in like 20 years. And they wanted pictures from where they were. And I started taking pictures of everything. Like I was going a little crazy, and like I wanted them to feel like they were there as well. And that's kind of where my journey started. And I'd liked photography before, just because I think when you're living in a different circumstance, like either financially, like through education, whatever the circumstance is, you see things differently and you learn to appreciate things. And so I think I talked about this in this other journalism thing I was part of with Girl Up. And there was this girl with her mom who they always come around and they recycle. And like, that's the way they choose to help their family, which is amazing. And I remember taking a photo of that, and like I showed my mom, and my mom was like really impressed with that photo. And it's a really meaningful thing to me. And I think that when people like are like, oh, this is really cool, and are kind of advocating for you and telling you to keep going, it really helped me a lot to be more confident. And yeah, so those are some things that got me into photojournalism and taking pictures, and I hope to continue that. Even though I'm not doing it professionally, I hope that it's something that I can share with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard sometimes because I'm really hard on myself depending on like what pictures I choose, how I take them. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, this is not it. But then some people are like, oh, this is an amazing picture.
Yeah.
So I'm really working on that now to just focus on like what makes me happy and not be afraid of what anyone else has to say. So
That's amazing. I mean, you have like, I love like just hearing a little bit like about your life and how you got involved and the places you've been and the reasons that you're shooting is so amazing. And it's that perspective. I'm dying to see your pictures of Mexico and I'm like, because of your very specific and very unique and really compassionate point of view, like I feel like what the stories that you have to tell are really, really interesting, and a lot of people would love to see them.
Thank you. It was a little hard at first to kind of share my photos.
Yeah.
And then I was I think I was pushed a lot by my friends and family to really share them, and especially an important leader to me and someone I look up to. Her name's Rocio. I know she also works for Girl Up, and she was like, I have this amazing recording that I hope that you can do. And so like I went for it. That really was one of the best experiences.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm really grateful for that I have like that energy to help keep pushing forward.
That's amazing. Yeah, don't stop. Do not stop.
Since I talked a lot about myself and how I got into photojournalism and photography, I wanted to ask you what motivated you to start photojournalism, photography, and things like that.
So yeah, I kind of started by accident. So I would give a little bit about my background. I was an editor, a video editor at CNN, and then from there I worked as a producer of commercials at an ad agency. And then I had my first kid, who's actually today is 15, and um, I wasn't working anymore, and I needed to be creative, and I needed an outlet, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that I had to do that, and I picked up a camera, you know, like lots of parents do, to take pictures of their kids, but I didn't want to take like a picture of the baby in a basket or with a bow on her head. I wanted to show what she really looked like and what she was really doing. And as I had another child and as they got older, I really didn't want to show girls in the way that you often see pictures of little girls in dresses with bows and a smile on their face and their hair is perfectly done. And I wanted to show that these girls were fierce and emotional, and they were angry, and they had tempers, and they didn't brush their hair or match their outfits, and they were covered in mud. And I wanted girls to know that that was beautiful and that was worth taking a picture, and they didn't have to smile or fake anything to be worthy or beautiful. So that's kind of how it all started for me. But I never took a class on it. I didn't go to college for it. I just slowly taught myself on YouTube how to like shoot manually. And then I would learn how to, like, I would do one thing at a time, like one little thing at a time, and I would master that. And I would be like, okay, how do I remove something I don't want in the picture in Photoshop? And I'd figure that out. And then I'd be like, okay, how do I change the color if I wanted this shirt to be pink? How do I do that in Photoshop? So I would just like slowly master things. And like, you can learn anything you want to on YouTube. And that's kind of how it all started for me. That was my interest in, I wanted to remember my kids. So I have two girls who are now 15 and almost 12. And I wanted to remember them, but I wanted to remember them as they were, not as like not as these perfect little dolls, because that was not who they were. And then it's, for me, my project turned into Strong as Being Pretty, which was my first book. And then it expanded to all girls, like lots of girls, and showing all of them like how strength looks in different ways.
Oh, I totally relate to the YouTube thing. And yeah. That's what I've been doing a lot during quarantine, just like, you know, looking for tutorials on different things. But definitely I agree, photography is like a really hard skill that I think that you don't really notice until you actually perform it. And YouTube has helped a lot. I definitely agree. And even then, there's still things that I still don't know how to do that I hope to learn. And sometimes like just one step takes like 30 minutes to learn on a video, which is kind of not encouraging, but at the same time, it helps you improve your photos a lot, which is really amazing.
Yeah, and I still do. I always have my camera with me. That's the thing, because like, it's not always about being a skilled photographer or knowing exactly what setting to have. Sometimes it's about just having the dang camera with you where you are.
Yeah.
Because moments pop up, and sometimes, you know, the best camera is the camera that you have. It could be your phone. And so, and there's beautiful photos that can be taken on your phone. But yeah, it's about, I think for me as a photographer, it's about sort of, I'm always looking for, oh my gosh, that light is pretty. It's just this awareness of that light is pretty, that background is cool, and maybe you're not shooting it then, but you're filing it away for another time, or oh, that expression was awesome. Can you do that again? Or let me get my kid, it's just always just sort of this awareness and recognition of light and emotion and setting and background that you're always like, I'm always kind of mentally like shooting in my head.
I agree as well. When I went to go visit my family, that was me the whole time because it was like filled with nature where my parents grew up in. And so every second I would be like, stand here, this background, these flowers are beautiful. Or like, can you do that again? So I totally agree with like always just making ideas in your head and just kind of going with that. And
Yeah.
also like, living in a city kind of also helps with that because there's a lot of paint, like a lot of art everywhere. So you just want to take pictures of everything. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, that's so different because I live in like the suburbs, so it's all, and Atlanta, where I live, is very green. So I'm always like trying to find like I can get a green background anywhere, but I'm trying to find a sky. I want clean sky, or I want a little more urban feel. So it's like that's why I love seeing other people's perspective, because you shoot what you know and you shoot where you live, and where you live and what you shoot is totally different from where I shoot and live, but I feel like it gives you a window into people's worlds in a way that I don't know that words can as well. I just love seeing new perspectives.
I agree, and I totally understand that. I connect that a lot with at the beginning you said with your daughters about how you wanted to be really realistic about like how kids really are, that they aren't like this little perfect like
Yeah.
child all the time. And like I have younger siblings that I kind of help my mom raise, and so I know they're messy, they're crazy, they're learning to grow up and they're learning a lot of things, and they're not perfect as they're shown in like pictures or like when they're newborn and stuff like that. So I think that's
Yeah. I
so
think that's so important for girls. If you're taking a photo of them and you say, like, if you take a photo of them when they're doing something that they love and that they're passionate about, that you're not saying, oh, you need to go change your outfit, or you should brush your hair, and you're just saying, no, 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 this is good, this is great. It shows them that that's worthy, and they don't have to change it, and they don't have to be somebody else. Like, just the act of capturing it on your camera is sort of validation that you don't have to Photoshop it, you don't have to Facetune it, you don't need to light it. Like, you can, that they are enough. I don't know. I love that part of it.
Yeah, I think it's also very encouraging for young girls who maybe aren't necessarily taught that, like social media or things like that. And so even if you see it through photography, I think it's like the best way to help out other people and like have self-confidence and stuff like that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So my next question for you is if you have any tips or tricks for photography. I know that I saw some of your work earlier. So it was beautiful, and I was hoping that if you could share.
Sure. Yeah, I have a couple of photos that I can talk through. I think they can pop them up and we can share the screen.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm seeing it. Hold on. It just went small for me. Oh, okay. Hold on. So this first image for me, like, remember what I was saying about how you like constantly looking, I'm always looking. Like, this looks like I erected a whole like scaffolding. I literally looked over my deck, and yeah, and I looked over my deck and saw like all of this greenery, and and I was like, I have no interest in images, and like I like looking at them. I do not want to take any images without people in them. It's just, to me, people are what make imagery. And I grabbed my daughter, and I was like, Ella, come, you just come in here for 1 second. She's like, Mom, I think there might be snakes in there. And so I was like, I really think it's a good shot. We can put boots on you. And so I went in and I kind of like stomped around. So there were no snakes. And I just like leaned over and I shot down like a few frames, because I loved that perspective of like seeing things from, usually pictures are shot like straight on, and I just loved the greenery. I loved that she looked tiny. And I shoot with a 35. My favorite lens is a 35. which I love because it can I can shoot portraits well. I can get up close to somebody and shoot a portrait without distortion. But I can also, I love that with kids in the, because kids are small and their world, they seem tiny, and I love that it gets pretty wide. I'm pretty sure I shot this by 35, and literally it was just leaning over my deck. And but the thing that was interesting is it was a really easy shot, but it was just the trick was noticing that that might make a really cool background.
Right.
You guys,
That's amazing.
oh, thanks. Yeah, you can go on to the next one. Okay, so this one again is about perspective. It's like, this is my niece and her dog, and my niece like got her boating license basically so she could go out on this little rowboat with her dog. And I was like, I just love the independence of that, the idea of that she could be independent and do things on her own. And it looks like this image, it looks like they are in the middle of the ocean. Like, and I am, but I am in knee deep water. They are in waist deep water. But the thing that I did that sort of showed that huge sky and I mean, I couldn't make the waves rocky. They were kind of already rocky. But what I did was I just got very, very low, and I got down and I shot up. So you see more of the boat, less of the, and then more of the sky. So that was kind of one of the things that I wanted to show. Like when shooting that, I wanted it to look like a little more dangerous than it was. But the thing that was, there was one mistake about this that I prefer. I wish she was facing more camera. So I wish I had waited till she turned around and gone the other way so she was more open to camera. Right. But the dog was not cooperating. So the times that she was open to camera, the dog was like not like at that perfect angle.
Right.
Kids and dogs, they say don't shoot kids and dogs, but they're my favorite things.
No, I can tell. And the dog looks like it's like it feels so free. Like you can't necessarily see the dog's face or anything, but like the way it's positioned in the photo, it just kind of shows a lot about like how free and like how they visualize things, I guess, as well. So. Thank
you. You guys can go to the next one. And so this next one is, it's one of my favorite ones. It's my two daughters. I mean, I love black and white. I feel like black and white. And it's funny, for a long time, I've made a lot of my images black and white because I was, honestly, not because I love black and white, was because I was not good at getting skin tones correct. So it made it easier that I didn't have to worry about their skin tone. But I do love black and white when it tells, like, I feel like sometimes it just shuts it down and tells exactly the story you want without fluff. So it feels like more, to me, like more to the point. And I especially love when it's like sort of, this image is a little overcast, a little darker. But I just love the joy. I love that one daughter is sort of coming to the front, and the other one is in the back, and they're screaming like animals, like they're crazy. But I love the energy. I love that Ella, my one daughter in the front, is out of focus a little bit, and Alice in the back is just, that I love that wildness. And for me, like the way that I shot this is, it's not always like when I try to get real emotions out of people, I'll say like scream, because generally after you scream or yell or you go crazy, like the laugh right after is a real laugh because they're uncomfortable. And I'm not trying to get the scream. I'm trying to get that real emotion right after, where they're like, they feel a little embarrassed. So it's like you get a real face. That's like one of my tricks, is like when I'm shooting, it's more that I'm not trying to get a frame. It's more about, oh, here's my dog. I'm trying to get, like, I run people through, like it's a movie. I'll say, go from here to here, and then I capture the whole motion. And then you feel like you can get that, the naturalness of what they're actually doing.
Right. And I love the idea of the monochrome. That's how I started photography, if I'm being honest, just because the black and white really helps bold out certain things that maybe necessarily if you're just starting out, you can't really do on your own through Photoshop and stuff like that. It just makes it easier. And I think it like clears the photo as well. So that's still one of my favorites just because I'm also starting. I love to use black and white. So
Yeah, black and white. I love it. It's and then yeah, it's definitely feels like more raw to me.
I see that a lot, especially when we're in the house now that I'm more with my siblings. I just like set them next to like some fake flowers, and then in black and white they look so sad, but it looks amazing. Like I love how the photo comes out really like sharp, and those are like one of my favorite ways to shoot.
Yeah, I don't get. There's nothing that's like more exciting to me than knowing like I have something awesome on my camera and then I get to edit it. I feel like it's like sometimes I'll save it because I'm like, oh, I'm like I just love that. It's so nerdy, but I love it. Like I love it so much when I have a great picture to edit.
Right, it's a lot of fun, and it is a lot of work essentially, but I think it's worth it at the end. So you get to share something that you really worked on and that really reflects ideas or objects that you want to share with other people, which is amazing. So I want to thank you so much for being here and speaking to me. And I got some tips that I'm going to take home as well today. And I just want to say that I want to thank Girl Up for giving us this opportunity to even be able to talk about this. I know that a lot of girls struggle with really picking up hobbies that aren't really dominated by women as much, which is sad. But I think that I'm very thankful that we have people like you to look up to, and that I hope that in the future, a lot of girls who maybe were afraid once to like show their pictures or are just starting out, learn that it's okay, that you're not going to be perfect the first time, and that eventually you have to grow and like you have to take things in your own hands, like watching YouTube videos, 30-minute YouTube videos and things like that. So I'm really thankful to have you here today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. It was honestly like can I see your photos anywhere? Are you
Yeah, I can actually email them to you. Yeah,
I would love to. I really like, I feel like everyone has a story and everyone has a point of view, and the courage to share it really benefits everyone else. So I really encourage everybody to share what's inside and share the stories that they have to tell, because how else can we learn? I think it's hugely important. And especially the girls in Girl Up, I feel like are all motivated, strong, confident women and girls that I think everybody needs to start sharing.
No, I agree 100%. Everyone there definitely encouraged me to be not only an advocate for everyone else, but myself and like the things I believe in. And I hope that I can keep sharing that through photography.
That's awesome.